Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 107 of the All in Football Fantasy Premier League Show podcast, a Euro 2024 special. I'm your host, the self-proclaimed FPL guru, Alex Rex, and joining me today are my usual suspects of Barry Stokes and Scott Williams, alongside the original host of the All in Football podcast, Cully Matheru. Cully, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
Yeah, pleasure to be on, mate. Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, thank you.
Looking forward to hearing your opinions on England and the leaving the resignation, I suppose, of Gareth Southgate as well. So we'll get your take on that a little bit later on. Barry, where in the world are you today?
I'm at home today. At least someone's home. But yeah, we're not going back that. But yeah, I'm good, mate. Thank you.
I think we're all at home, mate, except for football.
Football's not away.
Well, nearly, very close. Again, there you go. Scott, how are you? How's your darts going?
Yeah, that's going well. I've just realised I've got really self-conscious all of a sudden on my ears. I can't really see them. I don't know what's...
That's what I thought you had a haircut.
Yeah, what's going on with my ears?
That for those of you who are watching on the YouTube channel, one of the first things Cully said was, "Scott, you've had a haircut," and Scott was like, "You've seen me twice since I had my last haircut. It looks like you've had an ear cut, Scott."
Yeah, I'm worried. I'm like either expanding this part of my head at the top here, or my ears are shrinking. I only have little ears anyway.
That's what we call you behind your back, little ears.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you everyone for joining us today. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, All in Football Pod, All in Football P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Don't forget to like this YouTube video, subscribe to our channel, and also, what else do we do? Oh yeah, podcast. So give us 5 stars wherever you get your podcasts from. A little bit rusty. God, honestly, usually reel that straight off. But hey, that's the off season for us. And we've gone so mental that we're talking about the size of Scott's ears. So that's how crazy it is. So today we're going to cover off all of the Euro 2024 stuff, the fact that football nearly came home, but unfortunately failed and went back to Spain for the 4th time in their history, which is a bit of a shame. But there you go. We'll cover all of that. Obviously, the news today of Gareth Southgate's resignation. We'll discuss, was he a success? Was he not a success? And also who's going to take over from there. And then I've got a 1-minute wrap up on a couple of things fantasy Premier League wise. So let's start off, Baz, by talking about the team of the tournament, shall we? Let me get this graphic up. It's a little bit blurry, so sorry. Barry's had to send it over to me. So for YouTube watchers, if you're watching on your phone, you probably can't watch it. But Barry, run through the team of the tournament, and then Cully in particular, I want you to tell us how you feel about the right back.
So team of the tournament. So UEFA obviously announced it. You got the goalkeeper that I can't pronounce right, and I always get criticised. Mangian.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So obviously he's got goalkeeper. Obviously France was very good in defence. Kyle Walker, I think quite a lot of people were surprised on that choice. Kanji was just a rock in defence for Switzerland. Saliba, Cucurella at left back, Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, and David and Daniel Olamo, and Yamal, Nico Williams, and Musiala as centre forward. So it's me who's a bit creaky today as well. But that's the team they picked. There's a few that I'm unsure of really. No centre really forward. Probably playing with a false 9 and Olmo and Musiala probably in between. But yeah, that's the team they've picked. So.
Any shocks and surprises in there, Cully?
Well, the big ones are right back in there. Everyone's saying he didn't have a great tournament. I don't think he had a good tournament. Fought for both goals on the final. Centre forward, Musiala is not really his position, is it? But there's no really standout centre forward for the tournament, so probably shoehorned him in there. I'd put Mark Guay in over Akanji, and Maignan. I'd probably put Pickford in, if I'm honest. He's probably been better than Maignan, but. Yeah, apart from no disasters. I know, yeah, coming from Liverpool fan, putting Pickford in. No disasters.
But Gakpo as well. If you don't like your man Cody as well.
Yeah, he could have probably played centre forward in the team. He plays there for Liverpool sometimes. But Musiala, I think they had to put Musiala in because he was special when he played. To be fair, so. But yeah, I'd put Carvalho in 100% over Walker.
Scott, does it say a lot about England's performances at this tournament and how we I hate using the word lucky because I know you make your own luck, but almost how close it was in a lot of our matches of us getting knocked out and not quite making the final? Does it say a lot that the UEFA's like team of the tournament and a lot of people's team, so we've got here with the Opta team of the tournament and also the fantasy Euro fantasy team of the tournament, that we only have 3 players across all of these in these? Does it say a lot about England? Were we lucky to get to the final? What do you think?
I think it says two things really. For me, you could just have the Spanish starting 11 genuinely as the team of the tournament. They were that far above and beyond everyone. I'm quite adamant actually that someone has to be super special to be in this team if they didn't get to the semi-finals, like a super special tournament. So for me, Musiala won't be in there. I see a lot of people going, Germany, brilliant, Germany. Yeah, they got knocked out in the quarters. They weren't that brilliant. The reason I think why there's not many English players in there is this tournament has all been about moments for us, and we've spread those moments out to like every one player's had like one moment. So it's not like Bellingham scored the winner, did the Ollie Watkins winner, or did something else in the penalty shootout or something like that where he would be sniffing. People have had 10 seconds of brilliance, but we wasn't world beaters. I would say Gahey potentially and Pickford has really impressed me from Pickford. Saying this the other day, he's world-class keeper, no doubt about it. I think he can do better than Everton. I think he's been solid for many, many years. He never ever let England down. But yeah, I think 9 or 10 players and then could easily be Spanish.
Interesting. I think the Pickford conversation is an interesting one because I'd probably disagree on the world class status. I think he's a really good goalkeeper, but I just don't quite have him in that same bracket as your Allisons and your Edisons and that those sorts of like there's that bracket of 5 or 6 like world class elite keepers. I wouldn't go as far to say he's out of that second bracket. But I don't know. But yeah, I would say I think he probably would make the team of the tournament for me as well. Those XG stats that you put in, Cully, was it 5.2 XG and conceded 6 goals? I think he got absolutely screwed by the fact that he conceded like a couple of complete worldies as well, like the BTEC Xavi crybaby one and the also the Denmark worldie as well. Like he conceded a couple of such low XG goals there actually generally made quite a few good saves, especially in the final to keep us in. Baz, I'll keep with you on this because there's probably a couple of players in here to mention from the Opta tournament and the fantasy tournament, and then you've got a couple of stats for us to guess. All right.
Well, I've got stats obviously on the Opta team, and a few questions for you guys and also our listeners and watchers. Fancy wise, obviously I played it. I think you guys gave it a rest, and I cashed second in the league as well. So that was quite good. A bit of a rookie mistake on the on a decision that cost me, but we're not going to that. I've learned from mistakes, and I'll bring that into the FPL. So keeper again was Magnan. He got 31 points. So he was obviously the best because, as I mentioned, France had a great clean sheet record. Koundé as well was the top performer as well. He got 42 points. So I'm surprised he wasn't in the team of the year, well, team of the tournament. De Vrij, or De Vrij.
De Vrij, mate.
De Vrij.
You are rusty. You are creeping.
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah, De Vrij, Upamecano, Saliba, and Hernandez completes the back 5 because what I wanted to put it as the back 5 was ball recoveries was key in UEFA Fantasy. So I thought that might have been one of the announcements that FPL have announced, but they didn't. So
yeah, I'm glad it's not. I mean, we'll touch on that in the pre-season thing, but yeah, I'm glad it's not because it'd
have been good because some of the prices on some of the players are quite much, but we'll touch upon that later. Fabian Ruiz is the older midfielder with Bellingham and Olmo as the attacking 2. And then Musiala, put him as a centre forward because, as Cully mentioned, there's no centre forwards that's really been quality, apart from probably Gakpo, and obviously Gakpo's in there as well on the fantasy side. On that, the Opta stats. So Mamardashvili was the best goalkeeper. He had an expected goal conceded of 12, and he only conceded 8. So that's quite impressive on that front. Kimmich was second, chances created in open play 15, and he was one behind who?
Ooh, chances created in open play. I mean, this feels like a very
Yamal, yeah.
feels like a Bruno Fernandes statistic to me.
Yeah, Yamal, he got 16 and Kimmich got 15. And obviously the most passes breaking defensive lines from Kimmich as well. He got 17. So it's pretty obviously good going forward on that front.
Another right back better than Walker Cully. Another right back better than Walker. We've
he only got to
Kimmich. We've had Carvajal. How's Walker in this team? There's like 3 better than him. Anyway, moving on. Carry on, Baz.
Yeah, Akanji, due to obviously probably just all Switzerland's defence, really, to be honest. But obviously, Kanji was probably the standout performer of them. Swiss had the lowest shots on target per game at 2.4, and expected goals conceded was 0.95 throughout the tournament. So that's pretty impressive on that front. Gay's in there, best England player on most things, really, defensive wise. Contested aerial duels, he got 29 and 113 of them. That's best out of obviously England. 6 blocks, second pass completion. He got 66 passes per 90 minutes with 93%. Who was the best pass completion for England?
For England, I was going to say feels like Rodri.
Yeah, I would have said Rice.
Cobby, I'd have thought.
John Stones, 68.5, 93.9% he got. So obviously I could go a lot more about obviously these stats, but I think it might be quite too much information for people. So but yeah, that's the Opta team. You've got Gay, Cucurella, Fabian Ruiz, Tony Cruz, Yamal, Olmo, Nico Williams, and Gakpo. Well, I can obviously do some of the questions if you want me to, but it's entirely up to you lot.
I want you to do 1 to Cully and then 1 to Scott.
Okay, so I'll do Gakpo to Cully. So Gakpo got goal and assist against Romania in the last 16. Became the first player since who to score an assist in a knockout game for Netherlands?
Van Persie?
Nope. Anyone else want to guess?
Schneider.
Raphael van der Vaart.
Oh yeah, I like
that. Frank Rijkaard in 1992.
Oh wow,
Jeez.
really old.
Yeah.
Crikey, give us a chance.
That's not that old, surely.
Baz was 15 at that point.
Yeah.
So Kimmich was the first. Was first in attacking involvements as a defender. Who was second?
Scott. Who was second in attacking involvements?
As a defender, well, going by what I saw, I'm just going to go for Cucurella. He was I'd
have agreed with that. So we're both going to be wrong if we're wrong. So definitely gone for Cucurella.
Colour, do you want to go?
It's going to be Kyle Walker, isn't it?
No, it's not Kyle Walker. It's Hernandez for France.
Okay. Oh yeah. To be fair again, he did look good. Well, thanks for that, Baz. I think what I want to quickly to wrap up the tournament stuff, Scott. I'll ask you any players on there that really stood out for you in the tournament who aren't actually on the screen. Is there anybody else that you can think of that's really sprung to mind? And then also, what was your favourite moment of the tournament outside of England?
Ooh, good questions. I was thinking of a couple of players that I really enjoyed watching. And I really wanted to pick someone from the Turkish team. I thought they were one of the best teams to watch in the whole tournament. Got so close to getting through to the semis. So the young Real Madrid boy, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, but Gurula, Yeah, I think if it wasn't for a certain now 17-year-old who plays for Spain, he would have got a lot more headlines because he's only a boy himself. He was really impressive. And that goal he scored at Cameroon against in the group stage, absolute wildy. Maybe it was Georgia. It was a great goal. And then another one for me, because I wanted to mention Georgia, because let's be honest, when we were doing the draw, we were like, they're going to get hammered every game, they're going to get battered. Brilliant. And even when 1-0 up against the champions. Mikitadze ended up being top goal scorer and sharing it with about 19 other players. So he was really impressive as well. He had a clutch penalty, which he tucked away fantastically. A moment of the tournament. Wow. It's a good question. That's not England.
Yeah, that's not England. I'll go with mine, and it was because it's Georgia related. I think it's Georgia absolutely battering Portugal. That was for me. I was just like, what has just happened in that moment? I was just watching the game and watching them qualify for the last 16 and to have that performance. That for me was maybe it's a bit of a soft moment of the tournament, just because I kind of felt a bit happy for them really. But yeah, that was mine anyway. Cool. Oh, Scott, have you thought of another one?
No, go someone else.
Any moments of the tournament or any other players you wanted to mention before we move on?
I'd agree with you on the Georgia one beating Portugal. I think that was a big moment in the tournament. Yamal's goal against France, that was special. I think that's put him on the map. Well, he was already on the map, wasn't he? But that's put him on the international stage map he's going to be a special player, that kid. In terms of players, I like a couple of the Dutch players actually. I'm just thinking of a Liverpool's perspective. I think that Xavi Simons is a very good player. I like that Reinders in the centre midfield for the Dutch as well. And that Gakpo is pretty all right. We might need to sign him.
Yeah, exactly, bloody Gakpo. And Barry, finally to you, a moment of the tournament. It's quite easy for yours not to be related to England, I thought.
Yeah, well, obviously Yamal's mine, becoming obviously the youngest player to score in an international tournament since Pele. And the team that Pele obviously scored against was
France.
Wales.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
really?
Wales, yeah, it was. Yeah, in 1952, I think it was. But yeah, for me, Yamal, obviously he looked promising. Him and Williams, Morata obviously was just kind of like a bit like a Harry Kane situation for them, but the two wingers stole the show for Spain, and obviously how they played, and not having a lot of Barcelona and Real Madrid players as well was the most Spanish team was Real Sociedad. So that just showed that Fuentes was brave enough to pick players that suited his way of style of play. So
well, I think with the Morata thing, that I'm quite passionate about this. He was very much the Giroud of that team. I mean, like they played to his strengths. They got two wingers beyond him. He linked the play really, really well. I think Morata was exceptional. I think he actually gets really underrated in this tournament. And I think the Spanish manager played their tactics perfectly around him. I think if we had two players getting beyond Harry Kane, he'd have probably looked a lot better than what he did in the tournament. But anyway, there you go. Let's get on to England, lads. I've
got my moment.
Oh, go on, Scott. Go on.
Two moments. Scotland getting battered. Wouldn't be too bothered, but there's been so much noise from like Scottish fans. I'm like, unlucky you had a nightmare. I think the one moment, I'll be honest, England had the biggest wow moments, like crazy like moments in the tournament. But the one that stuck out for me when I was watching it was Italy, the last minute equaliser against Croatia. An absolute worldie of a finish as well. And actually, they would have gone, if that didn't go in, they'd have been out of the tournament on goal difference. So obviously, they didn't particularly do a lot. But for a moment, it was frightening. And obviously, ends Modric's international career as well at the same time.
Yeah, there was a lot. That goal meant a lot for a lot of different teams, didn't it? It was, and like you talk about permutations, it was a big moment actually. I'd actually forgotten that happened, probably because I'm still depressed from Sunday. But there you go, lads. We've had.
Also, I just want to give a shout out to Yilmaz for Turkey. I thought he told everyone a new one with his obviously intense running and aggressive attacking play. I thought he was too good not to mention, to be honest with me.
I'll love that shout out, mate, because I know he listens. So
He does,
that's
mate. I'll tag him in.
I'm just listening to all these players United are going to bid £100 million for this summer. I can't wait. Radcliffe Revolution. Anyway, we've got the big news today that Gareth Southgate has resigned. And all of my preparation for this podcast I did yesterday was related to should he stay or should he go? So I'm gonna have to kind of wing this really, but it's something similar. Let's talk about in relation to this tournament first of all, and then we can get into more detail about Southgate's reign in general. Scott, did he do basically the minimum this tournament considering the players and the teams that we played against? Did we underachieve? Did we underwhelm? Or is that all very harsh and actually he's done an exceptional job? What's your take on verdict on England this tournament?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because I've been pro Southgate for years. I've said he's given me some of my best moments of my life, and I've always been in. But even he drove me to getting frustrated in this tournament. The way we were playing, we've come into it with, the best squad, maybe joint with France in the whole tournament. So actually, let's see him playing this expansive, free-flowing football. He's a Jude Bellingham over a kick away from probably being the most embarrassing, exit of a tournament certainly we've ever seen. Obviously, I know early 90s there was a couple of bad ones. 92, I think 88, I think we had a bit of a nightmare. But if it wasn't, well, I think it's worse, way worse than not way worse, but worse than Iceland.
I agree with that.
The crop of players that we have compared to that squad against Iceland, it was basically, when you look at it, and it's hard because you've got to look at the squad and try and remember actually what those players were. You can look back at Dele Alli. Dele Alli was world class when Dele Alli was at it, but it was basically Rooney and then the rest. So actually, that Iceland team, was probably better than the Slovakian team as well. So if you want for that Bellingham over a kick, he would have obviously left the job a couple of weeks ago, would have probably already got a new manager in, and his legacy would have been tarnished. I'm really happy for him that didn't happen. But at the same time, yes, we've got really lucky to get to the final, let's be honest. We've took a penalty shootout. Obviously, you've done the stats there. Baz said that their expected goals against was under 1. We scored 1, I guess. And then we did 5 clutch penalties. But for me, it's the end of the road. He's taken us. Let's not forget where we were. We were big Sam Allardyce. We were, looking at let's try and get to a quarterfinal. Let's try and get to a quarterfinal. To really, really gutted we've not won it. He's taken us 98% of the way. I think we just need that manager that's going to now adapt to the players we've got. So someone that's got that more of an attacking intent. Just look at Spain. Just look at them as a blueprint and be like, that's how you win tournaments, by playing expansive, brilliant, free-flowing football. And I think we just need that manager now. But amazing legacy that Southgate's done, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's you talk about giving the best moments of your life for the past 8 years. I think that I've heard a lot of people talk on the radio today about what is that bringing the nation together sort of thing, improving a relationship between the media and the manager and this, that and the other. You forget the everyday man that goes to work and grafts and whatever else, and then comes home, obviously woman as well, sorry, I'm talking about us 4 here. We go on, we graft every single day and it gets us together. It makes us come together but as friends to watch the game and really enjoy it, and, gives us moments to spend together as just as friends. It makes a huge difference. And yeah, sorry, Scott.
I was going to say that just for your last point, have we overachieved, underachieved? I think we've just achieved. I think overachieving. I think for any team, it's so hard to win. One team wins, so I think whoever wins it overachieves, because you can't, unless you're going into it and you're Man City in let's say Man City in League One, you've achieved by winning the league by 10 points. For any other club, if you win the league, you've overachieved. So for us to get to a final, I think we've achieved. I think looking at the squad would say, look, we should be getting to a final. I think semi-final / final is achieved. Anything else is definitely under. But I can't think you've just achieved by just winning it, personally.
Well, is it because we're too complacent as England fans now? Is it because Southgate's got us used to making finals and we just think that's achieving?
You've also got
what we should be doing.
You've also got a generation younger than us that are only know us doing well now. So we've done pretty well for a good few years. If you've got someone that started watching football at 10 in 2018, you know, they're 16 years old now. They've got that voice in social media. They've only ever seen us get to quarters and semi-finals and finals. We remember the times when we were getting beat by Iceland and getting knocked out by Brazil and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I think it's one of those where it's like when Premier League managers get sacked. Like say when like David Moyes was under it and all the West Ham fans were telling him to leave. You know, grass isn't always greener. Don't forget where you were, sort of thing. So I think we were just fickle human beings, but I think it was right. It was the right time, and Southgate, he had a lot of abuse thrown at him, like out of order abuse. Like Gary Neville, Shearer were getting criticised. Not Gary Neville, sorry, Lineker, Shearer were getting criticised. They were just critiquing the style of play. I wasn't saying anything about him, but when you're throwing cups against your own manager and booing him, I think that's out of order and that's a step too far. So for him, he wants a club job now. So I'd be really interested to see, because whoever the manager goes in the Premier League, the first one to go, Gareth Southgate will be heavily getting linked with that job.
Absolutely. Cully, did we underachieve with the group of players? Did we not? Did he fail to get the best out of that group of players individually? Because on paper, probably should be winning the tournament, right?
Yeah, but football's played on grass, mate. Not played on paper, is it? So, I agree with 98% of what Scott said, if I'm honest. I think we've just achieved with the players that we've got. But so many other teams have got great squads as well. But I think the main difference was Spain were more of a team than England. We were just mostly individuals. We've got names on paper, but yeah, he possibly could have got more out of the likes of like Foden, who's I think been poor for his whole international career, if I'm honest. He's probably got the likes of Gerrard and Lampard syndrome in there that you probably can't play them together, Bellingham and Foden. The only point I slightly disagree with was I don't think you have to play open, expansive football to win tournaments. You've seen it in the past. I don't think we played that way in the last tournament, in the last Euros. And obviously we lost, but Italy didn't play that way either, and they won the tournament. I think to win titles and to win tournaments, you need to have a strong defense. You need to build on a strong defense. Spain only conceded 4 goals this tournament, and 3 of them were to England, France, and Germany. So really tough teams. So the other one was to Georgia. But I don't think necessarily you have to play that open, expansive football. But we just fell short. And like Scott said, it's so tough to win a tournament because only one team can do it. And I don't know if you heard Jamie Carragher's interview on Sky yesterday, that his point was, who's going to probably want to take this job on now? I know there's going to be plenty of suitors, and who's going to say no to an England job, but you've got to win a tournament to do better than Gareth Southgate, and we've won one in our history, 100 years of history. So we're not a winning team. We don't win tournament. We're not Brazil. We're not Spain. We're not France. We've won one tournament. So
yeah, but we can't accept that and just go.
No. Well, I'm not saying we should accept it at all. Listen. With this crop of players, we should be winning until we should be getting over the line. But it's just so hard to do because there's so many other special teams out there. The France team over the last 6, 7 to 8 years has been probably the team, hasn't it? Because they've had, you can't score against them. They're so hard to score against. And then they've got the likes from Mbappe, Dembele, Giroud, Griezmann. They've got these special players up front. I just think this tournament was a disappointment for me because I don't think we deserved to win it. In 2021, I thought we deserved to win it because we played as a team and we had, I think, similar to Spain, we knew what we're doing in those attacking links, like between the likes of Kane and Sterling. I know you don't like Sterling, Alex, but he was a key cog in that team. And then you've got
I don't dislike Sterling. He's just not world class. Leave me alone. He's just not world class. He's overrated. He's still a good player.
But everyone in that team in 2021, you could have decided the roles were so clear in the team, and they all knew what they were doing together and how to play together. This one was, like Scott said, just based on moments. We just got through on moments. It was an overhead kick away from an embarrassment, really. And I really do agree. I'm really glad for him that happened and it didn't end in disgrace for him because he's the second best England manager ever. So he's a good guy. He deserves to go out with his head held high. But I do think it's time. No, he's made the right decision. Someone else is going.
I did say then he'll be looking at a prem job. Do you know what? I actually really hope he goes. I hope he gets like a job in Spain, gets away from
Yeah.
like England for a bit, and just like
Agreed.
does well there.
I hope he goes abroad as well. Completely agree with that point. It was something I was going to say later on. I hope he goes abroad, gets away from the English media, maybe goes Serie A or something and does a job there. Baz, is he only the second best English manager of all time because we're comparing him to other managers that have just failed? And did he fail? Is he a failure as a manager? He didn't win a trophy. Is that what success is defined as? And are we just complacent fans over expectations as Englishmen because of the squad on paper? From an outsider's perspective, are we arrogant, complacent? What are we as England fans?
Well, I think it's coming home doesn't really help you a lot. That just
I think
I
think it's been a lot less this year.
It
You've not
has.
seen a lot of
I fully
it.
agree with that, but just if anyone just says it or anything like that, it just spurs the opposition on massively.
Yeah, but it's said more in jest than it is in terms of we actually believe we're going to win it.
Yeah, but well, the whole song's a tongue in cheek song. That's the point of it. But other opposition fans don't get it, and that's Basil's point. I get that. Opposition fans think it comes across as arrogant. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help the issue a lot. I think Gareth's record is, I can't argue with. It's great, but I think any manager that goes into that who's half decent should have that record. Who's got England's players? England, they had Bundesliga Player of the Year, Harry Kane. Bellingham, La Liga's Player of the Year. Foden, Player of the Year in Premier League. So, and they were probably the three worst players, and Kyle Walker for England. Maybe is that because they're overused and they should have rested them more, played a bit with his tactics, didn't suit Kane's tactics because and Cully mentioned about Euro 2021. He had Sterling and Rashford running beyond Kane. Didn't have that in this tournament. It was too congested in the middle. No one were in there. Didn't have an out ball to get out. Didn't understand the final tactics as well with Pickford pinging it long to Harry Kane, who just got absolutely bullied by Lenormand. Yeah, he just got bullied by him, and he won. I think he was absolutely outstanding in defence. Where tactically, I didn't know how England played. When he first came on the scene with Southgate, he was quite attacking minded. When I look back at the results, I was thinking, oh yeah, it's quite attacking than that. Obviously, I don't watch England as much as you guys do, but and then he went all negative. Maybe that's because he lost the players defensively. That might be the reason why he went a bit negative. And it's I think he had the best individual players, but the team, he didn't have the ethos of Fuentes at Spain, where he knew exactly how Spain was going to play, and he brought players in that was going to play that tactic. Southgate wasn't brave enough to drop Foden after starting 8 games and getting no goals and no assists. Got to drop him after probably group stages. He didn't do enough. Got to drop him. Sure, taking him was probably the right decision in my eyes, to be honest, because he did play really well in the final on that front. But obviously, not having another left-sided probably affected the balance of the old team, having Trippier in there and congesting the middle even more. So for me, I think he's done okay. He's probably average. I would say he's probably achieved as I'm agreeing with everyone. He's probably achieved to get to the final. I thought England would have won it because obviously the players that a crop of players that England have got. But for me, I think Southgate, as I keep mentioning, is not a good manager. He's a good manager, coach. No, he doesn't understand tactics as good as other coaches. I think he just relies on the team and the players that he had.
That's a verdict that's come out quite a bit today, that he did almost everything else right except for his in-game management. Probably other than in the final, really, and the Netherlands game. I've got to give him credit. Other than that, I think his in-game management's been pretty poor. But he's done everything right off the pitch, and then his tactics have maybe not been quite right on it. So in terms of
Sorry, especially with when you played, I think it was Slovakia and he started Conor Gallagher, where you want to be starting a ball playing midfielder because you can have the ball a lot. And then for Spain, I'd have started probably Conor Gallagher because you're not going to have the ball as much as Spain. And Conor Gallagher will win the ball back for you. So that they're the where I didn't understand where he was going with that. Don't get me wrong, Manu played really well, but he was just lost. He just couldn't get grips of the game because the ball just kept going by him.
We're looking at his biggest issue then, Scott, in terms of the reasons why we probably didn't play that well and look that good. Are we talking about that he didn't select another natural left back and address that left-sided situation by being too stubborn with Foden ahead of Trippier? Are we saying that we took a player like Adam Wharton, who was supposed to be that holding midfielder, and we never even bothered playing him, even though we obviously had a problem with it linking defence with attack and getting out with the ball? Was he too loyal to not just Foden but Walker and Rice as well? Maybe even in that final to maybe even take him off at one point. You know, where did he? Those are the main things that have been mentioned. Making substitutions too late is the classic Southgate thing. But are those the reasons why we probably didn't look so good even from the start of matches, or anything else you can think?
I think looking so good, yeah. Trippier didn't look so good. I guess, he's not a left back at the end of the day, is he? So we didn't look so good, especially on that left hand side, which hampered Foden probably as well. The fact that he wasn't there, it turned out not to be an error. Because at the end of the day, we got to the final where Luke Shaw started anyway, so actually wasn't an issue. But I guess, if we've got a time machine and go back in time, what would have happened if you put a left back there? We might have been like going through the gears quicker in the tournament. Might have been looking better. That builds confidence. That builds when that Spanish team then look at us and go, crap, we're playing this English team, puts the fear of God into them a little bit. So you don't know these sort of things. I think obviously the tournament would have been better. I think we did accelerate at the right times. Semi-final, we looked really good, especially the first half. I thought that first half display by us against the Dutch was one of the top three halves of any team throughout the whole tournament. Not a shadow of a doubt. I thought we looked really good, and it was only because they got injured. Depay got injured, and they sort of changed their formation about a bit. We could have been out of sight at half time. I think his substitutions got better, got braver as the tournament went along. I don't think he should have dropped Kane. I think it's hard because you don't know what would have happened, but there'd have been so much noise around that. It'd have all been about Kane being dropped then at that point. The time to drop Kane was we get a win against the Danish in the second game. We've won the group. We then start Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins then does well, and it's an easier time to drop, right? So yes. It's one of those actually. That's what that for me. That was where it was a big error for him.
It was a question I was going to ask Scott. Sorry about that. Game 3, 4 points on the board. We're playing Slovenia. That felt to me in particular the game to definitely drop Kane and definitely drop Bellingham. Right, in particular too, and give them a rest. So I'm glad you brought that up as an issue because that's one of the things on my list I was going to mention.
100%. Like I said, I think he should have done it anyway. Regardless of who we got through, but you look at the Spanish, they rested the whole team because they got through as group winners, and that little rest, and then that spurred them on because let's be honest, they've had a pretty tough way to the final, haven't they? Germany, France, who else?
Us, Italy. They played as well in the group,
Italy,
and Croatia.
Yeah.
They had the group of death.
Yes, and they won it at Cantor. So that's I think can go overlooked sometimes. They're like, oh, what may have happened? We would have rested players. That would have given them a rest. Would have brought new players in. That would have given them tournament experience. So when we bring those players on later in the tournament, they're not going to feel as new to it. So I feel like that frustrates me at times when you've got a tournament where, and this is when I kind of not turned on Gareth, but got frustrated at Gareth, is this is a tournament where unless you're Scotland and that crap, you're going through, right? Someone like England, we're going through. It's an absolute travesty if we're going out. So be a bit braver when we're against these first two games. Get the group one, and then rest your players and bring more on. So I think for me that was the game. That was
Billy, your input on that?
It's hard to criticise him because he's navigation through a tournament. He's got us to 2 finals. So, yeah, I agree with what your point is. Obviously, go all out to get the win against them. Obviously, it wasn't technically won the group in terms of the 3rd game. So but that's him. He's cautious manager. He's a risk averse manager, I think, and probably the best managers like to take a bit of a gamble. You look at history. Sir Alex, Pep, Klopp, they all love a bit of a gamble in the late stages and love a gamble at certain points. Yeah, but it's hard to criticise. I know Baz was saying obviously he's probably failed with the group of players he's got, but we had a golden generation and we had Sven and Capello and Terry Venables and none of them made a final with the likes of Gerrard, Lampard, Rooney, Owen, Scholes, Ferdinand, Ashley Cole, etc., etc., etc. We didn't not
Trevor
make
Sinclair.
a final. Trevor Sinclair, yeah, David Seaman, blah blah blah. It's like unbelievable players, and we didn't make a final. So it's just hard to criticise him, if I'm honest. I think he could have utilised his squad a little bit better. I think the likes of like Gordon and Watkins should have had more minutes than they had. Gordon especially had 4 minutes during the tournament, and he was.
He looked good for that 4 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Why didn't he get more minutes? Why did Foden play literally 90 minutes every single game? Which is frustrating because you see the way we played during the group stage. You're like, okay, make some changes to the team, make us play a little bit better, surely. And obviously, he made the drop-ins. Like he obviously changed Trent, brought Rainier, and who looked really good. But just a few more changes would have been nice, to a bit more fluid up front. So that Dutch game was really good because he tweaked the system. But I would have liked to see a few more players get a few more minutes and utilise his squad a bit better.
Isn't that the issue that we're talking about here, though? We're talking about a guy now who's probably got a bit too loyal to a few of these players. He's giving all these bigger names a period of time on the pitch. And I said it on the preview podcast that we needed to play a team. And we needed to be a team, not a bunch of names. And I feel like almost this tournament, maybe, did he just play a bunch of names like the Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes situation? And we kind of get to the final playing in moments, almost luck boxing our way through like United did in the FA Cup, and you get to the final and win the final with 26% possession. That's just not going to happen every time. When they're one of the best centre halves in the league isn't going to miss a header past his goalkeeper and give it to Garnacho to tap it in the net, and then we can park the bus and win a game. It's we relied on luck and moments, and I don't know. Yeah, it's difficult. I think there's definitely a clear 2 sides to this one, but we'll call it there and we'll talk about replacements now. I think, and I think that's the next best step. Scott, why does the next manager have to be English?
I think a couple of reasons, really. We were talking about this in the group, weren't we? What's that group? And I think Jack said it first of all. No manager has ever won the World Cup. That's not been the nationality of the team that won the World Cup. I feel like I could have said that much clearer, but we get the gist. I think that's a big reason. The second reason, and for me, I just don't feel like they will have the same passion that an English manager would have. You're not telling me that it was funny to see Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank when we scored the winner. He was celebrating and he went, "Oh crap, the Dutch." And it's like, because they've not got that same. And then, the women's manager who's Dutch, she even admitted she was gutted. Like, she's the English manager. I know it's the women's game, but she was still gutted because her country lost. You've not got that same passion that you would have for managing your own team. And I think there's a massive issue, by the way, when we look at like the next English manager and we're like scraping the barrel a little bit once we get past maybe 2 or 3 names, that this country has not produced many good managers in a long, long time. And it also says something that probably two names in that top 5 English names have cut their teeth working abroad. Like I saw, obviously Potter, he did it all, didn't he? Work in Sweden, I think it was, and then went to the Mighty Swans. And then you've got
time to come back.
Yeah, and then you've got Still. Forget his first name.
Will.
Yeah, Will Still, who's dating. He's dating thingy, isn't he? Absolute worldie of a woman. Works for Sky Sports. Fair play to the lad. But again, he's done amazing, hasn't he? Overseas managing, and like that's 2 of the people. So there is a bit of an issue here with we don't have an issue. It seems at the minute, Touchwood, we're bringing up football English talent, but it seems like there's a big issue there with like the manager English talent. You look, but one country that hasn't is Spanish, and then specifically from the Basque country. Like I was listening to a podcast, they read off about 7 names straight away, like from Basque, and it's crazy. So for me, that's why number one reason for me is it's the passion and the knowing what it means to those country, and another reason as well, really quickly, so you give someone else's opinion. If it's foreign, it cannot be someone that has not managed in at least the Premier League, so they know what our media and they know what the public is like. Because yes, it's bad in other countries, but it can be a different level over here.
It's a very fair point on that one. Cully, we're cutting our nose off to spite our face by, I mean, I think we're living in fantasy land saying someone like Klopp would take the job, but let's just say for an example, Thomas Tuchel, Champions League winning manager, even someone like Pochettino, who's probably slightly overrated to be fair, but are we cutting our nose off to spite our face to say it has to be English when we could have an elite manager who's won the biggest trophies in club football?
I think Scott's last point there was key. I think because they've both managed in England, that they've got an affiliation with the English media and the English probably players as well. So if it was one of them two, I wouldn't be so disappointed because they have got an affiliation with England. But I would like it to be English as well. But just the names just don't rattle off your head, do they? And they're not exactly inspiring. Eddie Howe is probably the best candidate. Yeah, but this is what I mean. I said this to Alex after the tournament. Like 90 to 95% of this country would not have a clue who that Fuente was. Like, where did he come from? Like I even asked Alex.
Yeah, who? Yeah, who?
Fuente?
You cut out. You cut out. When you say that.
Yeah, you signal made you sound like a robot
Fuente,
when you said it.
Whatever his name is. Okay, sorry, my bad. But yeah, so I didn't have a clue who it was. I asked to ask Alex after the tournament.
Under 21, I only knew the background of the fact he was like an under 21 manager before. That's literally all I knew about him. I knew who he was.
I know Scott laughed when I said Lee Carsley, but it's plausible and it's feasible that they would buy someone like Carsley.
No, I think what's important as well when I look at the players, the managers, and like I said, I didn't laugh. I was just like, I wouldn't have him. And do you know why I wouldn't have him personally? I don't watch England on the 21s unless it's a tournament. So I don't really know his style of play. I know what he was like as a player. He was an aggressive centre midfield player, wasn't he? That, he didn't score goals or anything, but he was very good at that. But I look at style of play, and I know Potter's been tarnished a bit at his time at Chelsea. But he's done really, really well, at Swansea. He did really well at Brighton, and he's got affiliation with some of the players as well from his times at those clubs. So that I think we've got to be looking at that sort of style of play. Like, what was we thinking when Big Sam got the job? By the way, we must have been in a right black hole then, weren't
we? I wanted to touch on the Graham Potter thing, and I'll definitely I want to ask you this question, Baz. Are we sort of looking at Graham Potter a little bit too negatively? Probably didn't have long enough at Chelsea, really, to establish what he was doing. And he was dealing with a bit of a farcical owner in terms of Bowley, just buying players left, right and centre from underneath him. He was given a bit of a lottery to try and coach, and actually did really well abroad, Swansea and at Brighton. Do you think actually he's now being looked at in a way that's probably a bit too negative? And should he be the right man for the job?
I think yeah, you agree. You're a bit negative on that front, but regarding obviously the Chelsea job, I mean, we all said it from the start. Well, most of us said it regarding, is it a step too far for Potter to take the Chelsea job, especially with Bowley going in and buying all these players? So it's, for me, I think he's definitely the right man for the job. He eats into people. He goes into people's philosophy of they want an English manager. He has a good balance to the team. He does win games as well. Sometimes not nice playing football, and sometimes he wins games by playing attractive, depending on who he's playing against. And tactically, he's probably miles better than Southgate. So for me, I'd definitely give him the job. You don't have to pay any compensation. And like I touched upon, it is for me. He's just I'd definitely have him in.
I'm pretty sure Lee Casley played for Republic of Ireland as well. I was just trying. Anyway, so we're going for English, but I know he's from Birmingham, but he's played for Republic of Ireland, didn't he? That was that's the caveat on the English
Oh,
manager
so did
situation.
Declan Rice. So
So Jack Grealish.
that's great.
But yeah, well, Declan Rice didn't cover himself in glory this tournament, did he? But well, we missed the holding midfielder, didn't we? Crikey, stick a Rodri in that team, that'd be nice. Yeah, one name from all of us then for who we think should be the next England manager. I'll come to you first, Cully.
Oh. I don't like any of them.
On Southgate back.
Klopp.
Yeah.
Again.
Oh yeah, the dream would be Klopp, but it's never happened. If I'm honest, I'm going to go left field, and I want it to be English, but I think the best manager on the list at the minute is Pochettino, so I'll go Pochettino.
Not Tuchel. You go Pochettino over Tuchel, even though Pochettino's not won anything. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh, he's won the French league.
Oh, PSG. Tuchel in the Champions League with
I'd
Tim
go
Pot
Pochettino
Chelsea
because I
team.
think he's a university kind of loved in the country, and I think he works well with young players.
Is he loved because he's too nice and not very successful though?
Probably.
What?
It's like the Arsenal syndrome in the back then. They always finish second, don't they?
Arteta's project that's full of success but never won. And well, to be fair, won the FA Cup, didn't he? Give him a break. So we've got a Pochettino from Cully. Scott?
Potter, yeah, he's got a bit of a bite about him as well, which I quite like.
He grew a nice beard as well, didn't he?
Mm.
As someone who can't grow a beard, Barry, who would you go with?
Potter, just for beard envy. But yeah, I think as a touch upon, I think Potter he's cut his cloth nicely, and I think he's going to he'll do really well for England if he gets the job.
I've got a weird feeling it might be Frank.
Oh God! So I think for me, if I had the choice of anybody, and it's a little bit unrealistic, but it would be Eddie Howe if I had the choice. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think actually of the more realistic people, it'd be Potter as well.
There's a bit of change at Newcastle at the minute, isn't there? So you never know.
Well, Staveley and whoever, what's his face, aren't there going to be around anymore? So they are changing. People are involved every day. Obviously, they've got issues with financial fair play. They're not in Europe this year. They're going to have to sell a couple of players. So, yeah, maybe. I think if I had my way, it'd be Eddie Howe.
If you're Eddie Howe as well, and you're sit there now, get the England manager job, give you a 5-year contract. 3 months' time, you didn't have the greatest season last season. 3 months' time, you might be out of a job. And you might be sat there, and the England manager job may never, ever come up again. So,
excellent point. So yeah, I'm going to.
He'd be the English manager I'd pick. He'd be the English manager I'd pick if it was an English manager.
I'd be happy with any of them, Eddie Howe or Potter, by the way.
Yeah. Let's hope it's one of those two guys anyway. Was just going to wrap up, and then Baz has vanished. Are you there, Barry? So we're just going to wrap up with a couple of points on FPL that I know you'll have read. Anyway, so we'll be back before the season begins, which is in, I think, exactly a month's time. The Premier League season starts.
Oh, what we're going to do?
Man United against Fulham on Friday Night Football. That's a week after the biggest game of the season, the Community Shield final, another Manchester derby. For us to try and... I know, isn't it brilliant? What a joke. Anyway, a nice pre-season friendly for us to get beat by Pep. But wear a new nice Snapdragon kit and see how good we look in that one. Anyway, Garnacho won the copper, so it's fine. And he had a nice picture with the trophy. I don't even know if he played any minutes in the final. I didn't even look. He didn't get on in the semi-final, that's for sure. So there's a couple of key changes with FPL to take a look at the website and have a look at those. There's a mystery chip that comes into play in January. So I don't know what that's going to be, but I know they're doing it to try and hook people into. Basically, the whole point of that is to get casuals to come back and start playing again in January after they've forgotten, not bothered about their teams from the initial starting point. So it's a good move from FPL, I think, and it also gives a different layer of complexity for us to think about it as Keno managers, because there won't be as many blank and double game weeks next season because of the FA Cup schedules having their own exclusive weekends. And then also something that I'm quite I've been calling for a little while. I didn't think we should have 5 free transfers, so you can roll them for 5 weeks rather than just for 1 week. I think that's quite excessive personally, but I was always calling for the rolling to 3. That was something I was writing to FPL Towers about. I think we should have had an extra free transfer, but now we're going to have 5 free transfers to roll. So everyone who forgets to do their team for 5 weeks will be able to make 5 changes at the end. Both of these changes are geared towards people that don't play as much as normal. So I get why that's done. Barry,
it's also like a mini wild card, I suppose, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So you can save your transfers up and do that. Barry, your thoughts? Haaland's 15 mil, Salah's 12.5 million. 30 seconds on some player prices, and any quick notes on that before we sign off.
So 50 mil on Haaland, I think it's too risky to not go without. So I'll be getting him because as we keep talking about the midfield options, like Matoma's 6.5 and Bremo 7 million. So there's a few that's half decent. Palmer's rise from going from 5 million to 10.5 or something like that. It's quite excessive. I thought he'd been around about like a 9 or something like that. But yeah, I'm still going to go for Haaland. Salah's stayed the same at 12.5.
Yeah, 12.5.
Yeah, so I'll probably be getting them 2 in. So yeah, and then obviously building a team around there, not spending too much money in for goalkeepers. So Flecken's at 4.5, so he's a good option for me for that. Aït-Nouri at 4.5 is a good defensive option.
And that'll do, because we'll have to go otherwise.
Yeah, I'm going to say, how many is he going to reel off here?
Yeah, but the thing is, Baz is full of a differential this week. We just talk about it for ages. Yeah, but good luck teams not having Salah and Haaland in when they both play Ipswich in the first 2 games of the season. Thanks ever so much for joining me today, especially to you, Cully. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be on, mate.
Scott, it's been lovely to have you on in the final podcast for you while Southgate's England manager, and you're going to now have to start backing a brand new England manager. Thank you for having you on.
I'll back them all the way.
And Barry, thank you for Potter's Army. And I think we'll have a closet English fan, even though Barry won't admit it, if Potter becomes the England manager with his love for his former Swansea manager. Barry, thank you so much for joining us as well.
Thank you. And to be honest, if England did win, I was going to actually bite the bullet and I was actually going to wear an England top today, but they didn't. So thank God for that.
Well, you should have bought a Spanish one, mate. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, All Aboard Pod, All Aboard P, on Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. Don't forget to like this YouTube video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for all of our new YouTube content coming out for the Fantasy Premier League season. We'll be back in around about a month's time, I'd have thought, probably just a bit before, obviously, to do our pre-season podcast. Keep an eye out for the launch of the FPL game. And don't forget to subscribe to our channels and also give us 5 stars on our podcasts, 5-star reviews on our podcast, and subscribe to where you get your podcast from, so you'll get all of our up to date material. And thanks so much, everybody. And football didn't come home, which is always a shame. And goodbye for now.